Alright, so this is an exemplar response to a question on changing foreign relations. The question is, they've been given a quote and it's an inscription from the Hittite Peace Treaty. And the question says, with reference to the quotation, assess the extent to which Egypt's relations with foreign powers changed from the 18th to the 19th dynasty. So you would assume they're going to look at some pharaohs from the 18th dynasty and some pharaohs from the 19th dynasty, and it's worth 25 mark. So the introduction. Throughout the 18th and 19th dynasties, each pharaoh made a significant contribution to foreign relations, positive and negative. You can see there they've reworded the question whilst given a slant to their argument by saying positive and negative. Right from Ahmose, who assisted in expelling the Hyksos from Egypt, it was up until Amenhotep III when Egypt reached its peak and then began to decline. They're drawing in some prior knowledge in there. Pharaohs such as Amenhotep III, Akhenaten, Horemheb, Seti I, and Ramesses II each played a significant role when it came to foreign policy. And you can see in that last sentence their text preview where they are giving you an idea of what is to come in terms of paragraph points in their essay. So they're going to talk about what Amenhotep III did, what Akhenaten did, what Horemheb did, what Seti did, and what Ramesses II did in terms of foreign relations and changing foreign relations. First paragraph is about Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III was a pharaoh when Egypt reached its absolute peak in wealth and power. Its extremely grand buildings and successful withholding of territory led Egypt to be feared by those around it. Amenhotep kept alliances with towns and kingdoms such as Syria, Palestine, Mitanni, Byblos, and Canaan through sending letters now referred to as the Amarna letters. Through these letters he would exchange gifts with kings and vassal princes, complaining, praising, haggling, and well-wishing. The sending of gold and statues and other materials, as well as marrying foreign princesses, all strengthened Egypt's ties with its allies, making the country extremely powerful. So you can see there in this paragraph, they've spoken about everything that Amenhotep III did in terms of his relations with the empires around Egypt at the time. Letters, marrying foreign princesses, exchanging gifts, sending statues, etc. All of the things he did. And you can see there's a positive connotation to Amenhotep III's relations. Paragraph 2 is on Akhenaten. So when Amenhotep III died, many brother kings wrote to Akhenaten to continue the exchange of gifts and assistance and this friendship. But for an unknown reason, Akhenaten made little effort to uphold his father's alliances. And you can see here negative slant. His alliances with Mitanni suffered when he failed to reply to King Tushratta's letters, once leaving a Mitanni messenger in his court for 4 years before replying. This lack of acknowledgement enabled 2 palace revolutions to take place and Tushratta assassinated by Hittite allies with no counteraction. The Amarna letters also recount an alliance with Aziru of Amurru. Aziru was betraying Akhenaten by taking over Egypt's provinces along with the Hittite assistance. Soon most of Egypt's states and territories had fallen into enemy hands by either force or a formed alliance due to disgust at Akhenaten's lack of care. So you can see the negative slant here towards Akhenaten and his role in the changing relations. Things seem to have soured in his reign in terms of relations with the Asian Empire. Paragraph 3, it's on Seti I as well as Horemheb. Hittite forces were growing with each vassal state it occupied. Soon Egypt had lost most of its allies. Horemheb, whilst continuing the repair of Egypt as a whole, managed to order a few campaigns in Nubia and around Syria. It wasn't until Seti I succeeded Horemheb's chosen successor, Ramesses I, that the relationship with foreign powers eventually began to change for good, and you can see the positive slant here. Seti I led 5 different campaigns on behalf of regaining Egypt's states, following the strategies formed by the pharaoh Thutmose IV, who was a well-known warrior pharaoh. Seti regained parts of the Phoenician coastline. Amurru briefly became an Egyptian territory and managed to secure much of Syria and Palestine. He also had to deal with Libyans who had invaded the delta due to desert tribesmen overtaking the region. Paragraph 4 is on Ramesses II and gives an outline of the Battle of Kadesh, which you already know about, but we'll go through it again. One of Egypt's major victories in the 19th dynasty was that of the Battle of Kadesh, undertaken by Ramesses II in an attempt to remove Hittite interference for good. In year 4 of his reign, Ramesses campaigned in Syria, where he had to stop yet another rebellion from vassal princes. In year 5, Ramesses mobilized his troops, the division of Amun, Ra, Ta, Seth, all the way to regain Kadesh, as this town was a major commercial center and would be a great loss for the Hittites. A special force was sent through Amurru along the coast as a form of backup. Ramesses and the division of Amun soon outdistanced the rest of the army and ran into two Shoshu tribesmen, who claimed Muwatalus and the Hittite army were unprepared and passed Kadesh. The division of Ra ran into two Hittite spies who revealed the army was in fact concealed behind Kadesh and waiting to attack. They'd been tricked. Ramesses was ambushed and called for assistance, but their army was greatly outnumbered. As Ramesses had the courage to go into battle, Muwatalus tried to reorganize his troops, but Ramesses had taken the offensive and pushed the Hittites back. So now this paragraph is on the results of the Battle of Kadesh and then how it relates to foreign relations. So the battle ends in a stalemate and with the Egyptian-Hittite Peace Treaty, as referred to in the quotation. This inscription indicates the bond of brotherhood that was created by this treaty. Both Egypt and Hittite regions were to be at a truce, the Hittites allowed to use Egypt's harbours and receive asylum, while Egypt could travel through the Hittite areas without interference. Though this was conveyed as a victory by both the Hittite and Egyptian propaganda, the poem and the bulletin, this battle was a political loss for Ramesses. By not owning Kadesh and soon Amurru and Upi were taken too. This treaty signified peace for Egypt for a few years to come and signaled the end of Egypt's battle with the Hittite allies and provinces. So you can see here that you have a positive slant towards the end about this treaty signifying peace between the nations. So to conclude, Egypt struggled with its relations with vassal kings, and surrounding territory since the breakdown of Amenhotep III's strong communication with his allies. Akhenaten's carelessness lost Egypt the most land it ever did, but Seti I and Ramesses II's battle tactics and force managed to cease any more losses to the Hittite Empire by forming a new alliance. The 19th Dynasty pharaohs repaired and formed foreign relations that the 18th Dynasty failed to protect. And this last sentence is really good in summarizing everything that was said in the essay.